Welcome back again to another episode. We're pumped up to have our great friend Chencho back, and obviously Dave and I are here again. This is the third time we've had you on in a very short time, Chencho, and we're pumped up. We keep getting better and better, just like your favorite team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. We're pumped up. Thanks for coming and joining us again, Chencho. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, I'm too. I'm really thankful to be here, guys. And I hope it goes better than the last time and the prior time. So we keep improving, like you said. I hope we also can keep improving too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what it's about, baby. We're young, just like this young team is. So we're gonna get this and get it working well and get everything tip-top shape here.
Yo, if you remember, and Chencho, I'm sure you remember this too, but back in our very first episodes, we always said we wanted to grow with this team. Like, we knew the team was starting over, and we knew we were starting at 0-2, and watching our growth as a community of Thunder fans and this team grow at the same time, it's been really special. And we know that there are a lot of people all around the world who love the Thunder and really are passionate about this team. And knowing the previous iterations of the Thunder, the great players that came up before, and how they're all around the league and making an impact. Some of the players are all-stars. Some of the players are lesser known, maybe like Teo Maledon and Ty Jerome, that are out there playing really good for teams. And we're happy about seeing those players get those minutes too. It's all a part of this process. But now that we're in a new year, and we have our squad that we are cheering for, let's go ahead and raise a glass, a toast. I have coffee, but, whatever you want to raise to these players and what we really respect, what we hope for them, for – there we go. Amen. Right. What are we hoping for this year? For SGA, like, it starts off really easy, right? So anybody can say, you want, like, an MVP, right? Okay, fine. In due time. This year – we came in with everybody's eyes obsessed with the All-Star game. It seems like that's locked up. So cheers to SGA in the All-Star game.
Man, I want to throw out this too, is I think this is going to be the year that Shea makes it to the All-NBA team. In my opinion, the first time you make it to the All-NBA team, it doesn't matter if you're first team, second team, or third team. So this is to Shea for his first All-NBA team and predicting that that's going to happen this year. Yay, Shea.
Cheers. I'm going to run out of everything here really fast, though. Luckily,
I got champagne.
I brought my whole bottle of coffee. So, what do you think, Chencho? You got a toast for anybody right now? Put you on the spot, man.
Maybe Dort can get the second All NBA defense team, maybe.
Yeah,
there we go. I agree, man. Dort deserves that. He has been called by a top 3 defender by some of the best players in the league, so he deserves that one for sure. I think it's a criminal thing right now that he hasn't already been given that, but this can be the first year, and he's playing that level. I would say, out of all the years for Dort, this year taking charges is different than I've ever seen. It's more, which I was already thinking that was his superpower in a lot of ways, like his ability to drape himself all over an offensive guy, and then also as soon as somebody sets a screen, convince the ref that the guy was somehow moving, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. So I think he deserves it just for that one thing alone. Dave, what you got? You got another one?
Yeah, man, let's go for the fucking health of this team, man. We've seen some shitty-ass injuries happen to our big guys, so this is for JRE, Chet, and Poku right now. Yeah. The rest of you guys will get healthy, I know. But you 3 big guys, we miss you. We love you. Cheers.
Man, life is full of ups and downs. And, playing an NBA season with 82 games and being, just by virtue of this team, we're talking about people who are, in their early 20s, some of them in their late teens. The amount of wear and tear, I don't know. I was playing in a men's league, and I saw all sorts of stuff happen in the men's league. I got an elbow and I put my tooth through my lip. I saw a guy break his shin in half and have a compound fracture. Men's leagues are not really physical compared to the NBA. But you see injuries like the Paul George one and stuff at all levels. I can't imagine playing 82 games a season and trying to stay healthy at 20 years old. These guys are incredible, and I really love how much this team has focused on giving as many players an opportunity, so it takes the pressure off of showing up every single night. If they're not feeling perfect, they shouldn't play. And so definitely appreciate that the big picture. Now, here's the deal, right? Josh Giddey, we've seen him do amazing things already, and he's being put in positions to stretch himself. So a lot of people at first were down on him, but mostly that's because I think they were taking the ball out of his hands in certain positions, and they were telling him to do different things. And I heard Coach Daigneault talking after a game recently that they've really encouraged Josh to try to get to the free throw line more. So they've seen him really use that runner really consistently, and they wanted him to turn more of those runners into free throw attempts by virtue of taking an extra dribble and getting contact going up. And so for Josh Giddey, the easy one, and it should be, we should all be like, yeah, let's get some more triple doubles. But for me, for Josh Giddey, what I really want to see, what I want to give him a toast for, right, is I want him to average 18 a game for the second half of this year.
Damn. I love it,
You know
man.
what I mean? I think he's ready.
Hell yeah, dude.
We'll get triple
take
doubles.
that.
It'll happen. He rebounds well enough. He passes well enough. But they're asking him to shoot the ball when he's open. He's finding himself open more. Get downhill when you get downhill and get to the free throw line. How many points is he averaging up to this point in the season? I think he's around 14 right now.
I think he's 15, something like that, yeah.
15? So
14.8 or 0.9 maybe.
So 18's reasonable.
Check.
Yeah, 18's reasonable if he just puts himself on the free throw line 5 times more a game. So
Well,
there you
and
go.
I want to add to that right there is that we just saw him in December get to the free throw line more times than any other game in his career, and that was 7 times. And you say 7 times isn't a lot, but it's a lot for a shooting guard that is in his second year, and that doesn't play off. I mean, that contact isn't something that Josh plays off of. I mean, if you look at the way that Josh's game is really at, it's more attack, finesse shot, or attack, finesse, layup or whatever. He's learning how to play that with that physicality, and that's why we're asking him to, or Coach D is asking him to get to the foul line more. Is because once you learn how to play with that physicality, you learn how to use it against the defenders, and that's what Josh is learning right now. He's learning how to bait the defenders like Shea does. He's learning how to make them, go up for just a head fake and get off their feet, and then he can get up into their bodies. Like, he's doing enough that we're seeing that he's learning enough. Where Mark's right is that asking Josh to do average 18 points a game, in my opinion, isn't that much of a ask, especially because he's been averaging 15.6 in the last 10 games. So getting to that 18 point isn't going to be very difficult for Josh, especially if he keeps on getting to that free throw line. And I think that's the key to him getting to that 18 points a game is that extra ability to draw that foul, to get the refs to look at him. Shea was able to turn that on this season. We watched him just figure out how to get the refs to call those fouls, and that's what Josh has to do. It's that switch, because he's getting fouled. It's just not getting the calls.
So pick anybody you want, Chencho, or you can go for J-Dub if you want, an easy one, but pick anyone you want, bro.
Yeah, I think he could reach the all rookie second team. I think if he continues like this, he should be in the. I don't know if there's a lot of forwards in the. I mean about in general in the West there is not many forwards, but in both conferences there are several one of really good ones, but I think he could be a second rookie team as Giddey last year. And if he breakouts for some reason and start averaging like 20 points or something like that, maybe he could be in the first team. It's difficult, but I think that was the objective for him, to reach one of the 2 rookie teams, and I think he's going to do it.
Yeah, and I think for him, like we're talking about, like he's already, I think, asserted himself enough to expect to be in the Rising Stars game, just like Josh Giddey was last year. And it really could be a time for him to show out because we've seen an intense level of athleticism from him. Imagine him playing out there with no defense, and I think there could be a lot of value in watching like his stock kind of rise. So I'm hoping to see him in that Rising Stars game, and I think you're right. That all rookie team, one of those first two are appropriate because this guy is balling. So I'll cheers to that for sure, man.
Hell yeah.
Getting drunk on caffeine.
Aaron Wiggins, man. Aaron Wiggins. Happy birthday to Aaron Wiggins. He is the 6th oldest guy on this team, if that kind of tells you, and he's 24 years old. So hell yes, Aaron Wiggins.
And here's the thing I love about Aaron. He doesn't quit. Like, there were times where he was out of the rotation early, and they were giving other people opportunities. And when his number was called, he was ready to go. And I think there's something to be said because there was a lot of like talk around the team that was like, why isn't Aaron playing? And we kind of know like we're anticipating injuries, and when he gets his minutes, he's gonna excel. And I'd say like J-Dub, I knew he could jump when he came into the league. I didn't know he was quite as good of a dunker, but when Aaron Wiggins dunks sometimes, I think, who the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like he's a blur. Some of his putback dunks, his head's at the rim. Sometimes he elevates over. I mean, like, this guy is a monster, and like, there's really no telling what's going to happen with him. And somehow he seems like barely on the squad, but I know deep down they have big plans for Aaron. Like, there's a reason they're going to have to clear some space for him. But right now, they're giving him a big runway. But he's a great player. So I'll take my sip. That took me a while.
Hell yeah, we'll take the sip. What about how do you feel about, I mean, I know Poku just got injured, Chencho, but how do you feel like Poku's season has gone? I mean, there's a lot of dysfunction as far as fans and understanding Poku's role this year and really role in the future, or the past, I mean. But if you look at Poku, how do you feel like his first couple months of the season, or first 3 months of the season, 4 months of the season, how do you feel like he played? Do you feel like he played up to that, what I'd be considered as that Poku hype?
Yeah, I was thinking about him this morning, and people is a little bit unfair with him. They don't usually think about the fact that he was playing in the second A-Week division with he have maybe a few minutes with the main squad from the Olympiacos in the EuroLeague, but he was he was like 17 and almost 18 when he was drafted in December of 2 years ago. And considering that is where I think where he was supposed to be, and maybe even better in the aspect of shooting. He was better in those maybe 2 or 3 weeks that he kind of fell a little bit in the percentage, but he was shooting like 40% or above for the 2 or 3 months that we are into the season. So I don't know if he's gonna be the starting for this team, but for sure I consider him a main piece going forward for the rotation.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, before I go in there, Poku's future with this team is as a center. Just so you guys know, is it's more, he's going to always take that brunt of the shoulder for Chet in the beginning of all the games. If you watch Chet and he's going to come in the games, you're going to watch Poku really take up that center role, because you don't want Chet playing against the centers in the beginning of the games, because it's going to wear him down. So people like Poku and JRE and J Will and Mike Muscala, these guys are going to be inserted, as we're playing against a team that they're going to be most successful against. And that means that, yes, that's going to be less playing time for JRE or Poku, but the reality is that in the long run, by having this rotation of big men, it allows Chet to stay in the game for longer time periods.
Yeah, one thing is, when we have to contend I'm not sure if he can have the. He doesn't have the frame now to defend those big MVP guys in the front court as Embiid and Jokic and Giannis.
Sure, but he's only 21 though. That's
my doubt.
but that's the thing though, is that these guys are in their late 20s and 30s, and Poku's 21. So he has this completely different game. So if we're trying to compare Poku versus these other centers, he's never going to live up to these other centers because he's only 21, first of all, and he's still learning the game. And the game is so different because one thing I've noticed about every announcer that we played against that was, NBA knowledgeable was like, this Poku kid that when Poku played was this Poku kid is way better than anybody realizes. And the fact that he plays that center position is so unique. It makes his team even more unique. So I don't know, man. Like I hear what you're saying. Yes, his 190-pound frame right now isn't what you want for those elite big guys. But then again, that's why you have these wide bodies on the team. That's why you have JRE and Omorari and J Wills, because those are the guys that you're going to, put up against those type of guys. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And when you're talking about the team we just played, like the Sixers, I think that's what you're talking about, Chencho, is how can we defend a guy like Embiid, with Poku? It's going to take a transition. And Dave, you're looking at it and saying, we gotta see things for the way they will be instead of necessarily how they are at this moment. And so I think there's a lot of merit. But obviously, as things are, there's those questions. But one thing that's undeniable is that game against the 76ers, like, we missed Poku. And we threw out Muscala, and I like Moose, but he's not Poku. And so when I kind of look at it and I go back to what you were saying at the beginning, Chencho, he is doing better than what we could expect, considering where he was when we got him at the second level with Olympia. Because for him to suddenly be, like you're saying, Dave, a starting caliber NBA center, when we're looking at him, and his value was always in his versatility. The question was whether or not he had the durability to play that. And that's been answered, although now he's a little bit injured. So I wouldn't say that it's like we're completely past any question about it. But I think there's a lot going on with Poku, and he's so young. Go ahead, Chencho.
And it's gonna be fun to have those thin towers. Do you think they're gonna start them in the next season right away?
Well, I think you're going to look at Chet and Poku as going to be our main starting big men, but I don't think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are going to be set. Does it make sense? I think that there's going to be what I consider that opening. So whether it's a J-Dub sliding into that 4 position at some times when the matchups are right, or it's Poku or it's JRE, I just don't see that 5th spot being finally set for a couple more years. And I think that's due to what Coach D is trying to do with his team.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of teams that plays with not true 5 like the Warriors or the. I don't remember. I don't remember the other teams, but there are a lot of teams that doesn't have a proper center or an elite center. There are a few of them in this era, but I think it's good to have versatility to be able to have big centers and kind of smaller ones to fight against the more agile and spot up 4s or 5s that are starting to be more relevant in the league. So I think it's a good idea to be able to have that versatility.
Yeah, and one thing you mentioned is the Warriors, and I think about one of the massively underrated guys of the Warriors was Andrew Bogut. He made the whole thing work, the whole strength in numbers, because he was an unselfish player. Kind of, I guess, at this stage, something that we've seen with also Luke Longley, kind of an unsung hero of a championship, level team, championship teams, right? So one thing I think about with Poku is he definitely has that ability, like Coach called him, like a connector. He's able to move the ball from side to side, and if teams leave him open, he's going to knock down that shot. He's got all this versatility that we love about him, and now we're seeing him come along. And yeah, like even though there's questions about his frame, he's still blocking shots at a high enough level that says his length is a factor teams have to account for. So I'm loving what we're seeing from Poku. I would say, like, he's so far exceeded my expectations. And I think you can say that for the entire organization. When there's a comment Coach Dagnall had, he said if you had told him last year that Poku would be a connector and, someone who was so vital to the team, he would have checked your, sanity or, kind of thing. Like, basically, he's exceeded everybody's expectations. And we all need to just kind of tip our hat to him because there's only one way you do that. And we saw where he was when he got here. It wasn't like, okay, he showed up and he was the most talented person, and he did have talent, but it's hard work. And he's worked his ass off. He's worked his ass off.
Yeah, and I want to throw this in here.
I want to say that in the circle I have on Twitter, that's really my main source of Thunder content. So I don't know anyone here to talk Thunder, but
yeah.
I think that at least on Twitter I sense like they have unrealistic expectations for Poku. They thought that of him like he was at least what I see is that they see him they treat him as a top 5 pick, as a top 10 pick, and I don't know why they are expecting like a MVP caliber player at center. Like, he's Serbian, he's 7 foot, so he should be like Jokic, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I think that's
You
unreasonable.
also see that.
I think when we compare him, I think Jokic is some guy that I look at and I've compared him to since the beginning because of his passing ability and because that if you watch Jokic in the early years of his career with Denver, the way that the ball moved through his hands, that's what you looked at. You didn't look at all these other things and his defense and the way that sometimes he just couldn't rebound worth anything. Like, you didn't look at those, right? You focused on everything else, how the ball was just flowing through his hands and it never stopped. And it was just like, it's beautiful with Jokic out there. That's what happens with Poku. And you can insert any player you want instead of Poku with his team, but Poku understands the game, understands the system, understands everything, understands the players. It shows his knowledge. So when he's out there, it flows so well. And you're right. If you're thinking that he's a top 10, pick or something like that, that I understand that. That's for something when he's in, 29 or 30 years old, and we're looking back at his career and saying he should have been a top 10 pick. But right now, where he's at, there needs to be no pressure on him. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what he's going out there and doing. Now let's flip ships and talk about Jay Will, because Jalen Williams is somebody that's gotten 2 starts recently, right? And it's been really impressive to watch how he's been able to play inside the system and watching how Poku and thinking about Poku and Chet being out there blocking shots, right? Let's just say our Poku averages 1.5 blocks a game and Chet averages 2 blocks a game, right? So these big guys that we've been playing against are going to be trying to get in the bodies of our bigs because all they're going to be thinking about is not getting blocked, right? So then you're going to take Jay Will off the bench, and why I love why Coach G's been playing him so much recently is you're going to take Jay Will off the bench and you're going to insert him into that center position. And when these big guys come down and lower their shoulders, guess what happens? Offensive charge. So what's going to happen with these big guys is that we're going to get bodies up. We're going to get these guys, getting to the point where they're super ultra aggressive, and then we're going to throw Jay Will in there. And then they're going to pick up 2 really quick fouls. And then they're going to have to pull it out of the game. And then here we go, insert Poku in the game again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
His
way
timing
that
is getting there, bro.
And in the way that Coach D understands the game and how it's developing, you have to watch Jay Will and where he's being inserted into games, and all of a sudden it makes sense that if Poku and Chet were out there and Jay Will is being inserted in there, it would be offensive charge, boom, boom, next player up. And I think that's the great thing about what Jay Will's offering to this table is this ultra finesse aggression that he brings, and it's a beautiful thing that I haven't seen very often in the NBA.
One thing I've seen, maybe, and don't you think like not having that blocking minutes like Poker, like Chet will be in next year, where we could be defending even better because teams know that we don't have anyone that can block shots, and we have to overcommit to the paint and letting a lot of free 3-point shots a lot every game, and if they make it, we are fucked. And there's what happened a lot of time, not a lot of time, but many times when the other team is hot, they make like 14 threes in a half, and it's difficult to recover from that. And I think when we have everyone healthy, that it's difficult right now because we have all the bigs injured and for a long time. But I hope and I think that will be better when we have everyone healthy, and I hope Chet and Poku with this time they can eat something and grow some muscle and go to the because they need to eat something. They are too skinny, man.
Well, hey, in the end, I definitely think that that's a good suggestion. I think,
but
obviously,
listen, Chencho, Joka, right? You know why he was drafted in the second round? Is because he was too fat.
Too fat.
Yeah, right. So Poku comes in the game. He's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be too skinny because if I'm too skinny, at least they'll pick me in the first round.
Hey, and I see everybody talking right now about Jokic and saying that we have to seriously consider that he's a 3-time MVP.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I get it.
Beautiful.
Like Mike Malone said, hey, it's lazy not to give it to him because he won it the prior 2 years. But my theory on MVPs, and I think historically this is probably correct, okay? But you're no longer playing against the other players when it comes to the MVP. If you're going to win a third one in a row, you're playing against two people. You're playing against a ghost because you're playing against history, okay? And you're playing against your previous years. You can't just keep getting the MVP by being a little bit better than everybody else, because if you look at it, guys like Kobe only got one, right? Like at some point you have to look at it and say like they don't give these things out for Skittles, right? And if you kept giving him one for a little bit better, like imagine next year he puts up 34 points a game, are you just going to automatically give him MVPs and then he's won 7 of them, right? And I think Steve Nash is a good example. He's a good player, but in the end, for him to win back-to-back was probably criminal. Right, because I think that there were some very, very, very good players who didn't win, like Tim Duncan, Jason Kidd, who could have got those awards, but in the end, they were given to somebody who was an excellent system player, and you'd want to avoid doing that when it comes to MVPs. That's my rant. Chencho, I pissed you off. Go ahead and say what I said wrong.
Nah.
Okay.
I agree with you. With you.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. All right.
Well, think about what Michael Jordan did.
Yeah.
Right? His 3 back-to-back MVPs, right? 1, 3, or 3 out of 4.
I don't even know if he did. I got to check that. But
he won 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5. But anyways, if you look at what he did, he had to increase substantially every single time. It wasn't like he was just going out there and putting up the same stats. Like you said, is in order for Jokic to get this, he's got to have not just significantly better seasons the last 2 seasons. He's got to have a season where it's so dynamic and so jaw-dropping that a center was able to, complete a season with a triple-double type thing.
And on top of that, historically, MVPs are also related to the success the team had prior. So if he didn't win a championship, it's unlikely they're going to just keep dishing him out because you don't want to give
Who else are they going to give it to, man, this year?
Look, you don't want to keep giving it to people who aren't winning championships. That's my theory if I'm the media. But look, this is all. Go ahead, Chencho. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a case for him to win it, but I mean the Nuggets are good, but they still aren't what we thought they could be. Like 2 years ago when Jokic started to become the one of the top three or top five players in the
Yeah.
league. So I think it's not about the team, everything about the team, the award, but I think we should take into account where the team is, and
Yeah, absolutely.
if the Sixers are like top two or
Yeah.
first in the East, it's difficult. But if they are close to Boston or to the Bucks, and the Nuggets are like this, they are in the playoff well, but they are not close to the first seed. I think
Yeah.
they should go with Embiid, also because Embiid is much better in defense, much better in defense,
Yeah.
and it's a part of the game too. If you can defend, the team has to cover up for you a lot, and if you want to win it 3 times, you have to be like historical and have won something for your team. If that's it, the award is for the most valuable player. If you elevate your team, but just that, but you have a ceiling that you cannot overcome, there's not a reason to repeat.
I agree. Dave, go ahead, bro.
Man, I was just gonna say, watching what Michael Jordan did in 1988 to win the MVP. Originally, man, he won the Defensive Player of the Year, won the MVP, got to the conference finals with the team. I don't know, 52 and whatever it was, 57 and something. Anyways, it wasn't all that great, right? Lost 40 games in the process. But you look at what Michael Jordan was able to do in that season to, instill that he was an MVP. You think about Giannis and what he was able to do to instill that MVP. You think about Steph Curry. You think about, all these other guys for that first MVP. And I'm looking at the NBA right now, man. And I'm that's why I asked you, like, who do you see as the MVP besides Jokic? Because it's somebody that is going to be a first-year MVP nod.
Yeah.
If it's going to take it from him. And it's going to be something
Embiid is special, like Chencho said, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be something so spectacular that people can't deny it, And to me, that's Tatum. At this point, Tatum is the dark horse to take it away. I think he's going to be considered, one of the best players in the East, if not the best player in the East this next year. What he's doing is spectacular. So for me, if there's going to be, a player that takes it, it's going to be a first-year player. It's going to be a season that's so spectacular, like Michael Jordan did in 1988. That's what I see,
Yeah, which is Embiid's putting up crazy numbers, bro. Like,
and then I think if I keep on going back and forth, Mark. I can't remember if he won it. He won it in 1988, and then 91, 92.
I have no idea, bro.
And 96, 98. That's what it was. So he won it. He won it enough times that it's pretty spectacular. But Michael Jordan, though, when you're looking at MVPs and you're looking at how many he won, I don't think that you could put Jokic in that same conversation as Michael Jordan. And then you're looking at even Jordan couldn't win 3 in a row.
But here's the thing. I don't think that like he couldn't get to that level. But here's the thing. Like, he's got to win some chips. If you're not winning chips, then you can't just keep getting like those awards. But in the end, I think a guy like Kobe, who won 5 championships and 1 MVP, would be happy with the ratio, even though obviously you look back and you're like, that seems criminal to me. But all right, so Dave, I know we got more players to talk about, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to a couple of people.
All right.
Jumped on YouTube, and Dollar World commented, "I rock with y'all talking about the Thunder, but the attention to detail is spot on fire." All right, we fuck with you.
Didn't see that.
Amen, dude. Appreciate that.
He just played with my clip, bro. I love it.
All right, bro. Don't get too excited. Unk615, loyal listener, says, him and Dave, he says, me and Dave both are going to definitely miss Poku. Baze is definitely going to have to hustle on both ends, and he's capable of doing that. Dude, we appreciate it. They definitely know he's capable of it, and we look forward to him doing that. And then we got a new listener, our newest follower on YouTube, Aliki Warford. I think I said that right. I hope I did. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, thanks for joining us. You said, I think I just found my favorite thing. Talking about my favorite team, and I like y'all's vibe. Not enough passionate OKC Thunder talk from official media. Yeah, we fuck with you too. We like your vibe. That's it, bro. Back to you.
Oh, I love it. And I want to say this too, is that we've got a very loyal following. I shared a comment the other day with Chencho from one of our guys that wrote us, just appreciating us and appreciating Chencho. It feels good when you're part of a team and you're part of an organization that, like, we're Oklahoma City Thunder fans. Like, we are a family here, and when people reach out throughout the world and let us know that they appreciated us, it means a lot to us. And so for us to stand out and give you guys a shout out, or talk about Chris from Australia, one of our favorite guys, man. Seriously, like, these are the people that, like, mean something to us. And Mark and I, we've chosen the lives that we've chosen, but it also means that, like, there's a lot of times that we don't talk to adults for days at a time. So for us, this is why it's important for us to be able to be here and be able to talk to these guys. And I want to put a huge shout out to Tyreek from France. He is becoming one of my favorite people in the world. Super amazing guy, and the more I get to know about him, the more I like him, and just an unbelievable character. Somebody that eventually we'd love to have on the show. That's up to him as time goes on, but man, it's just exciting, man. It's exciting to see how this beginning of this year, it's our family, our group of people that we have that we consider our loyal fans and loyal listeners, and really starting off with Chencho. Like, you guys are the reason that we're here, and by standing out and saying something to us, like, it really truly means a lot. Like, we share it amongst each other. Like, Mark gets a new thing that says, "Hey, we love you guys." Snapshot. Sends it to me. Make sure that I'm tracking. It means something to us when we hear the positivity, and even some of the negativity. We had some guy named, I don't even know his name, 2-letter name. It doesn't even matter. Total dipshit. Like, he had so many issues with this team that he just wanted to voice his issues with the team and what was wrong with the team and why we should trade these players. And I listened to him for a little while, but the reality was he was such on a different level about what's happening with this team that it came to a point where I was like, I'm done. Because all you want to do is talk trash on this team, and all you want to do is try to fix what is unfixable. So for me, I sit here and I look at the people that are around me, and I will give my number out to people that ask for it, or people that want to talk, further with the Thunder. But the reality is that when you have a group of people that believe in where this organization is going, it's powerful. And that's what you guys are to us. You guys are the people that run our motor, because we recognize where this team's going, and we know where it's going. You guys know where it's going. Chencho knows where it's going. And it's exciting because as this team is developing, we're developing, and we're becoming better for you guys, because that's what we want. And that's why we have Chencho on here so much. That's why we try to get George on here, and John from Ireland, and all these other guys, because you guys, your opinions matter, and they need to be heard.
Absolutely. Dude, that's the only reason that this is worth it, is because I feel like there's other people who vibe with what we're saying. Because if we were just talking and it didn't matter, but I think this is probably this is kind of the thing that we try to bring back up as much as we can every time we can, because it's really what matters. I mean, in the end, I was even thinking about it. I was on a walk today, and I was thinking about, like, how hard it would have been if people didn't speak up. Right? Like, if they didn't say, hey, like, you're onto something, because in the end, we would have probably quit by now. But it's the people like you, Chencho, that keep us fired up every day. And so, yeah, man. But we talk about it too much sometimes, probably, because really we're here to talk about
because it means something. That's why we talk about it.
But that's true. It's true. But I don't know, man. I'll let you say something if you want to, Chencho. Dave, we can get back to the players if you want. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Yeah, Chencho, what do you got, man? You got anything you want to add to us?
I don't know the last game was bad, and
Yeah.
it was late in it was already New Year here, so I don't remember much because I was tired, but we have to give the guys who are playing to keep supporting them, because it's not easy to play with so many, with one part of the court already out, with maybe literally no centers if we don't count Paisley because he doesn't play much. And even if they are not playing well, they are still giving his effort, and we should not be too harsh on them. There are room to criticism, but we have to know that there are a lot of second round picks playing already in this moment, and in the case of Jalen, it's difficult to have the second start and go against Embiid, and it was gonna be, we know it was gonna be like that because it's an MVP type player, and Jay Will is starting his second game as a second rounder, and we can criticize, but the point is we have to know, we have to acknowledge that they are people, even though they are winning a lot of money to play a game, but they are people too, and as you said, in many occasions, they are people, they have family, and they don't deserve to receive all those words that the people can say when they are angry on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're absolutely right, man. And I want to throw this in here is that sometimes the way that this team is playing, right, it's hard not to get frustrated with watching. But this is a perfect opportunity for everybody out there to get a true education on exactly what is happening with this offense, to watch the offenses as it flows, to understand exactly where it's going and which player is expected to do which thing. Because instead of getting mad at who's taking the shots, maybe the whole idea of the offense and how it's running and fluid like it is running is the whole shot choice is that shot by Poku or that shot by Dort. Like, we have to sit back and we have to start understanding what is happening with the offense, and then taking a step back as well and trying to understand what they're doing on the defense. And the defense switches in every single game, and that's why I love what's happening with Coach G and this coaching staff, is that the way this defense changes and the way the scheme changes is truly spectacular. So if you guys have time just to watch these games, even if they're out of control, is to watch the way the offense is flowing and the defense is flowing. Guys, it is spectacular. And it's not always pretty, it's not always perfect, but man, when it's right and it's clicking, it's something that you have to say, when in 3 or 4 years, when this team is beginning to peak at a high level, like, this is going to be the type of offense and defense you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know that, hey, this player wasn't supposed to take that shot because he needed one more pass. Not be upset with the player for taking what you consider a bad shot, but being more upset that the player didn't finish the offense. Because as a coach, that's what you want to see. You want to see a coach get mad at a player for not finishing the offense, not for taking a bad shot. And I think that's what Coach D has been doing recently, and it's what's making me excited about this team.
Yeah, I think sometimes people forget that to succeed, you have to try, and they can improve if you don't let them shoot and have bad nights and good nights. But the only way you learn is through failure, and we have a lot of hard workers in the team, and also the only way you can improve your craft, your shooting, is by the way of watching it. If you don't have enough sample on the games, you don't know you can you can't analyze it on film if you don't try it on the court. So this is the moment to try and fail, and I'm glad that we are giving them these opportunities, because this team, we have to acknowledge that it was not fun when the last years before Chris Paul and that 2020 season, but that team was not fun, and try to implement a team play style is difficult, and we are trying to do so. Sometimes it's pretty, as you said, and sometimes it isn't, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to keep trying, because I think Trey Mann is going to figure things out, because he has a lot of talent and he can score all those threes that he's missing. I think he can be like a Jordan Clarkson type player when he is at his peak, and I think he will reach it. But it's not easy to change the style of a franchise that was always focused on ISO playing. So I think we have to give him more time and recognize the good job that Mark is doing, that Coach D is doing, and hope this new year comes with the same hard work mentality and some health that we are clearly missing of the last years.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where, like, because we've gone through some tough years, like, some fans have gone down on the team, but in the end, like, people like you, Chencho, Dave, like, and I try to be, but, you know, can't always be, but you try to find the good things. You look for the positive signs, the building blocks. And, you know, last year we were watching this team get smashed by Memphis. And then this year we see this team, you know, win some games, a number of games that were teams that are better than us. And, you know, I feel like, in fact, we've had a few losses to teams that weren't don't have as many wins as us. And that's kind of like one of those signs of a young, inexperienced team, is like not being able to pull those wins off in a row. But it's been fun to watch this development. It's been incredible to be a part of it, to feel like a sense of like, we know what's going to happen, but we don't necessarily know how it's going to happen. So we're glued to the screens every time we can to watch all the content. You know, being up here in Pennsylvania, I had to watch the game live on New Year's, and the kids usually don't watch me watching the game, but I'm pretty animated and I swear a lot when I'm watching the game. So it was fun for them to kind of get a sense of like how intense I take the game, but that's part of it. You know, I feel like, you know, when I played, I wasn't really that nervous. Like I would have nerves when I played because I wanted to do well, but once the game started, I felt like I could control my performance usually. When I started coaching, I would get pretty nervous. Like I would feel like, okay, now it's on me. But when the game started, I always knew like I was just going to do the best I could. And, you know, you kind of, as a coach, you try to recognize, you know, do you need to come up with a game plan to give your underdog team a chance to win and kind of things like that. And then you try to execute your plan. As a fan, I have no control over it. And so I am by far more nervous watching the games than I was either playing or coaching, because I just feel like I want this team to be successful. And an example of that would be like Baisley when he drove against the 76ers, right? I felt nerves because I want him to do well. I want him to finish it. And I know if he misses it, there's going to be people in the crowd, people watching at home who are like, come on, Baisley, you shouldn't even do that. You know, we all know. But when he made the shot, you felt like, okay, he's, you know, he did something now. But you also just feel like, you feel like a sense of good because the fear of bad is right behind it. I remember the same thing with like Russ. When Russ would drive early in his career and he missed a layup, everybody would get so upset at him. And it would be like, he's gonna figure it out if people don't get too bad down on him. But you know, that's what I like to kind of recognize. Like at this point, watching some of these guys play, like you said, Trey Mann, when he's shooting a 3, I want him to be so successful that I feel like emotionally attached to every shot You know what I mean? And it's almost like the narrative is being written. And a lot of that's because, like the same thing we saw with Josh Giddey early in the season. There's so many fans who are being negative that the pressure starts building, and the players just have to like focus on blocking everything out and just going out there and doing their job. I guess it's like that with every fan base, but at least, there's an opportunity for us to be like, hey, like if this team is going to be a safe place for the players to develop, the fans can at least give them enough space to develop,
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it, man, is that this has turned into a lot of the frustration and what I would consider player hate is coming from is because a lot of these people are expecting these early 20-year-olds to be 30-year-olds. And when you're expecting that, you're never going to be happy. You're just going to look at everything as a failure because when a player's peaking versus when a player is starting off in the NBA is completely fucking different. And that's what gets me frustrated when I'm hearing these people say, well, it would be better if this player did this or this player did that. You're right. It would be. But they're not going to start off in the NBA doing that like you're saying. It just takes time to develop in the NBA. And one of those players that we're watching develop is Jalen Williams. He was averaging and just dominating in that G League. And then he comes up here and he gets his first free throw in the game the other day. And it's like, okay, it's the developmental part that we're looking at. If we're expecting Jalen Williams to go out there and put 20 minutes of, 15 points and 7 rebounds, that's not what you're getting with Jalen. Jalen is a different type of player, and that's why we all have to sit back and say, what is Jalen Williams going to be able to do? What are these other players going to be able to do? And to me, it's about looking at every player at the positive side. And they're positive and they're good players until they're proven not to be, and that's when Sam Presti either trades them, waives them, or moves on from them. But to me, it's powerful if you take a step back and recognize exactly what this team is and how this team is going to get better and where this team is going.
I think that some people still hasn't changed the mentality from the 2019 and previous years. I think they are still like the win every game mentality, and that's why they are so nervous and they are suffering with every bad decision and miss shot. I think they are still adapting to the new reality.
Yeah, I agree. And of course we want to win every time we play, but it doesn't mean that like every time we lose, it's a bad thing. Like development is paramount. That's what's going to produce the future team going as far as it can. And you see, going back to players like Poku, how much those minutes, like you were saying, Chencho, like getting it on film, trying it, and then going out and working on those skill sets so that you're better. That's the way to improvement. So it's easy to look at Jay Will and say, oh, wow, it's not working. But it's also like, he's going to get a chance to go back down to the blue, to work on his craft, go practice with both teams and come out as a better player. And this is the process of improvement that is going to separate our team, because I think there is going to be a time when people start to realize, yes, the players are special. Like, it's not like these players aren't great that we have, but it's also a combination of the right player in the right situation, because after a while, you're going to look at players on, who were drafted before every player that we have on this team that weren't as good. And you could say, oh, well, that player, they should have just known that player was going to be that good. But then the other side of it is maybe this team and its commitment to development was as important as the player in the right time. So I don't know, because sometimes you'll see players who just don't, work out. But for the most part, we're seeing great things happen when these players commit to the system. The system is proven, it's respected, and at this point, I mean, all we can do is sit back and enjoy the show, because it's an amazing process. Try to document it a little bit if we can, but mostly just enjoy it and talk about how it feels to go through, because when we're looking back, we're all going to forget, how much, we wanted to win and winning was so far away, and they'll be like, oh, that was a short time. And it was, but there were some tough times during that time. But I feel like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The idea of getting Chet back and and also putting Poku out there. This idea that kind of bounced around that they could be the 4 and the 5 starting out next year would be really fascinating. I think we've talked about, Dave, in the past, like how the way we look at the 4 probably on this team is somehow like depending on matchups, different things like that. Like we'd like to see J-Dub get opportunities. There's all these different elements, but at this point, right now, just the intrigue of having 2 players that can defend the rim that much when we're at this point suffering to defend the rim is crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like this team, and we'll wrap up here, but I feel like this team is kind of like that movie Family Vacation, Christmas Vacation,
Yeah.
Right? Where Chevy Chase is like, gets all the family out there and all hyped up, like, this is going to be the greatest light show ever. And he gets there with the 2 cords and he plugs them in and nothing works. And he's like, everything should work. Why isn't it working? Like sometimes that's what happens with this team. Like all the pieces are there, everything is going, and then it goes to click, nothing's working. And it's because a couple light bulbs are a little loose, and tweaking those light bulbs to figure out which ones are loose to make everything work is what needs to happen. And that's why I love what Coach D is doing consistently on this with his team is he's playing these guys at different levels with different players, with different matchups. He's figuring out which light bulb is loose, when it's loose, how to fix it.
I love it. Chencho, go ahead, and then we'll get out of here.
I think I've said almost everything I have to say. But to everyone that is listening, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you have fun, you too, guys, and have a great day.
Yeah.
And we have to wait another day to watch another game, but we really want to watch it. So hopefully we can talk soon, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And like, I want to echo what you said, man. I hope everybody listening has a great new year, the best year of your lives yet, and let's get some momentum. Let's roll into life in a new level, guys. Let's do it, Dave. You go, and then we're out of here, bro.
Yeah, just appreciate everybody listening. If you guys want to interact with us, please comment in YouTube. And if we really fucking like you, then we will continue talking to you guys. But if you're fucking douchebags, then just don't waste our time. That's all I got to say. Peace out.
Yeah, we love you, motherfuckers. We'll see you.